Annyeonghaseyo, welcome to Afternoona Delight, where Leah, Megan, and Amy, three American romance novelists discussing all things K-romance from a writer's lens. We fangirl over our favorite actors and actresses, talk up our trope addictions, and nerd out on K-drama deep dives. We'll throw in a few K-pop and K-skincare recs for good measure, because why not ride the Hallyu wave all the way to shore? So grab some tteokbokki and listen to your new favorite Ateez.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hi there.
Leah's back.
Woohoo!
I am back in the God bless the USA.
Where cereal aisles run for miles and miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of good highs and lows to being home. But yes, I'm here, and I was telling Megan and Amy, because I always love to start with the most riveting of topics, which is the weather, especially like weather from like 2 weeks ago by the time you're listening. But it's really hot, and in coastal California, it's really uncommon to have air conditioning. So I think in like Southern California, people like really like their AC. Up here, it's usually very temperate. But right now we're like sitting at like about 94 degrees here in Santa Cruz. And I just feel like, you know what? I might just like lose 10 pounds on the podcast, just sitting here hotboxing and sweating.
Dude, that's miserable. 94?
Yeah. And I had to shut all the windows because I didn't want the outside sound. So you know what? If you are listening, I am literally giving you my sweat today, the sweat off my brow.
You did the Kin Porsche episode in your car at 6 a.m. and now
I did. Look, I take it for the team.
You do. You truly
That's
do.
how much I like it.
I know. Well, speaking of riveting content, once the listeners are listening to this pod, the tomorrow episode will already be out. At this time, it's not, so Leah hasn't heard it. But Amy and I talked about vacuums for like 7 minutes.
Oh, Jesus.
Was I talking about getting the new vacuum? I didn't have it yet. It was on my porch right after we finished doing that episode, I remember.
Oh my God. Well, you hadn't gotten it yet. And we were just talking about how excited she was. And it was very funny. And, well, it was funny for us. People are probably listening to that thinking, oh my God.
So wait, is your lead-in content tonight for banter to talk about the funny vacuum banter from another podcast? Is that what's happening? I'm sitting here sweating for this?
Sorry.
I mean, at this point, look, stay with us, people.
Oh, God, I know. Well,
But thank you, Megan. I appreciate that. Yeah. I was really entertained.
I was in...
You missed it, all right? She wanted to let you in on the content that you missed.
Yeah.
The riveting content that you missed.
We even said, we're like, Leah's going to be like, I can't believe you fucking talked about vacuums for 7.5
I can't believe you're talking about it again now to talk, and you're talking about talking about vacuums. Well, I'm just saying I'm telling it like it is tonight.
Well, I just got back from a signing. So that was very exciting. A book signing where I signed my alien romance books, and it went really well. So yeah, we were in DC. And so the humidity and heat there was unbearable. Like, it was horrible, the weather, just because it's so humid on the East Coast. Like, it's like a wall of humidity.
And the Midwest too. It gets gross here.
Yeah. So, so I stayed in the hotel most of the time because I am a baby and I don't like to sweat. But it was a really fun time, but I'm glad to be back. And I'm glad to be talking about K-dramas again. I'm very excited about today.
I am too.
It's a good topic.
I have nothing exciting for banter because I have been in my house for the past 3 days with COVID. So that's why I sound the way I do. So my apologies. You will not get it from this podcast, though. I promise.
Well, I'm sorry you have COVID. You do sound sexy. And I do have something to talk about besides vacuums and COVID. I don't know if this is like, I think it's interesting.
Okay.
So I live really close to an arboretum. And an arboretum's like, a botanical garden, except maybe with a little bit less interpretive material out and about. And so something that became like a very big deal in Santa Cruz was they were going to have the blossoming of a corpse flower. So the corpse flower is the largest flower in the world. And the one that they've been waiting for 10 years for it to unfurl itself. And when it opens, it smells like a dead body. which is why it's called the corpse flower. So on Friday night, it became this thing, like, I don't even know, like, it took to like social media, it took to the news, it took to the like text messaging, and everyone's like, the corpse flower. And I was like, I've never even heard of this, but like, of course we gotta go. It's an event. So we get up there and there's this giant ass flower that's like 6 feet tall. And they're like, look, we got a little excited because it also grows in like, I forget where, somewhere in like near the equator. And they were like, we got excited. We thought it was going to open. We wanted the world to like, you know, come and whiff it. And so we brought it outside. And now it's too cold and it's not opening. And I'm like, oh my God, like for 10 years you've been waiting and you might have like blown it. I was like, they're being very zen about it.
You fucked it up at the end.
And people were just like, it's not opening. And like everyone's all pissed. I'm like, you know what, bitches? You never even probably knew a corpse flower existed like I did until like 35 minutes ago when we like rushed here to see it, because it just became this like, I don't know, one of those like funny social events where like all of a sudden the world just is like, we must see this thing. Mm-hmm. Anyway. So they put it away. It was like, womp, womp, corpse flower, like, isn't happening. And then corpse flower decided to, like, give it a show. So yesterday morning, we trundled out to go see the corpse flower. It was open. It was beautiful. And it smelled like a murder victim stuck in a pipe left in the desert with like blue cheese in its mouth.
That's crazy.
And I was like, wow, I'm so glad we walked here to be like, yep, that smells like decayed flesh. Well, time to go.
I saw your picture on social media and it was pretty cool looking though.
It is cool. And I guess so the reason it smells like death is its pollinators are flies. So it's like, come to us. We are a festering pile of something nasty that a fly is going to think is like Thanksgiving dinner. And, you know, come pollinate. So that's why it smells the way it does. So anyway, that is my story. I don't know if that's better than talking about vacuums.
I think vacuums are better. Sorry. Like,
no, but you know, nature.
I've heard of the corpse flowers and I knew that they bloomed like very rarely. And so
well, I thought of you, Megan.
I'm jealous.
Not because of death and the stank.
Yeah.
But I thought of you because I was like, this would be a good alien type of flower.
Absolutely.
Like I felt like you need to like kind of like weave a corpse flower like motif into one of your books because I think there could be something there.
Well, I did just write a flower. So essentially the flowers are like guardians of like the gate of the alien like compound. And in order, they kind of like cover the gate. And in order for them to get in, they have to give the plant like a living sacrifice, like a rabbit or something. I mean, my alien planet's version of a rabbit. And then it like eats it. And then it'll like open up to let them in the gate.
Ooh, I like it.
I was pretty proud of that.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess it's, maybe I'll make it smell now too. You know, I gotta add all the senses into the scene, right?
Yeah, I think so. And the segue we could do tonight is...
I was like, smells like death.
Yeah.
You know, sensory experiences are powerful, as are the iconic moments.
Well, I would say these iconic moments in K-drama, you know, made us kind of use all our senses. You know, it's probably a good sound. It's visually appealing. Maybe, well, there's no scent, but you know what I mean? I don't know. That's my segue.
You can certainly imagine. I can certainly be like, oh, I bet I can like picture. I could spend worse time than like imagining what like Captain Ree smells like.
Yeah. Or like a
you know, I could spend a pleasant 5 minutes.
Or a stampede of horses rushing through the kingdom of Korea. Like we can imagine what that smells like.
Yeah, like horse poop.
Like horse shit. Yeah, like, and I don't, you know what? I normally don't think of that when I think of that iconic moment. So thanks for giving me that now.
All right. Well, tonight, as you might have deduced, we are having a really fun conversation and we are going to be talking about iconic moments in K-drama. And this was kind of a serendipitous topic for us because we were on the Slack just kind of chatting about, you know, ideas for podcasts. And we actually had some other ideas for tonight, but then we just started talking about like moments that lived in our minds and it became a really fun conversation. And we're like, actually, let's just scrap everything and have this be our podcast because it would be so much fun to talk about.
Yes, like I'm very excited to talk about iconic moments. Like that is like, yeah, iconic moments that live in our head rent free. That is what we're discussing. And come on, what better topic?
One note for tonight too is normally we try to do like a non-spoiler section and then a spoiler section. That's very hard to do with a show like this.
Yeah.
I think we'll be talking about different plot point elements in different dramas. And every once in a while, there may be something that becomes more of a spoiler. Otherwise, they might just be like scenes, but they're not going to like probably spoil the entire drama. But we'll try to like flag if we're going to get into something that's like an overt, like the cat's out of the bag.
Right.
If you hear
like the drama hinges on this moment.
Yes.
Sounds good.
And so, yeah, we will, give you that warning. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want to be surprised, you'll fast forward. And if you don't mind, we'll try to do it respectfully in a way that's not going to that will entice you to want to see it rather than be like, damn it.
But pretty much everything we're going to say tonight is going to reveal something about a drama that you haven't seen yet. If, it's going to be a scene that you don't know if you haven't seen it. So
yes, we are opening up these dramas much like the corpse flower after 10 years.
I like that.
Beating this horse dead like one of the stinky ass horses from the King Eternal Monarch.
I like the horse smell.
Ruining my iconic moment for me with every word you say.
Well, you know what? That is a great pivot to our very first category, which is iconic romantic hero moments. So, Amy, do you want to take the power back on a iconic romantic hero moment for yourself?
I would, because I don't believe any horse shits on the streets in Busan in this iconic moment.
They don't even have assholes in
No, they don't. In this parallel universe, these horses don't shit. Horses don't shit, their shit don't stink, so there you go. This is an iconic moment in The King Eternal Monarch. If you have not seen it, I'm going to ruin the last sort of 90 seconds of episode 11 for you. So, you've been warned. It is my favorite romantic hero moment. And I've talked about this many times on the podcast before, so if this is new to you, then where have you been?
Right.
Talk about beating a dead horse. Like, I will talk about this moment in K-drama anytime I get a chance. And it's one that I've watched over and over again on Netflix and on YouTube. So, it is, of course, when Lee Min-ho as Lee Gon, the king of Korea with a C, a parallel universe to our universe, and his men are galloping through the streets of Busan to rescue the heroine Tae-ol, played by Kim Go-eun. I mean, it is your knight in shining armor, right? He's on a white horse. He's got a sword. He's slashing at the bad guys, saying that he's going to save his future queen. It is like the most badass romantic thing I've ever seen, and it will forever play on a loop in my mind, and I am not sorry about that. And the horses don't shit.
They definitely 100% do not. No shitting.
Asshole-free horses.
God, and what was the horse's name? Maximus.
Yes.
Maximus has no butthole. Okay, so moving on to a moment that has nothing to do with buttholes whatsoever. This is a little bit of a spoiler, I think.
It's huge. It's a huge spoiler.
Yeah, it's a pretty big spoiler.
Okay, so this is a pretty big spoiler.
I just saw this today, too, so it is like, I'm so excited for you to talk about it.
Okay, so I'm talking about Itaewon Class, and I'm going to be talking about something that happens towards the end of this drama. So if you have not seen Itaewon Class, we are going to be doing a podcast on it soon because there's a lot to say. But I want to just say that it's not a newer drama. It came out in 2020, but it's newer to me as I binged it recently. And to me, this became like really in my top echelon of romantic moments. And we will be getting into it more in our Itaewon podcast because I believe that different hosts have different opinions on this one.
We are a podcast divided on this one.
We are not that divided, just a teensy bit.
Maybe in this part. So Park Seo-joon plays Park Seo-wee, and he is I'm not going to get into like the whole premise of the drama, but essentially he is someone who is out for revenge. And he's out for revenge, not because he's like a bad guy, far from it. He's a very stand-up, like classic hero alpha type. However, his family has been done dirty by this like family of baddies. And the family baddies throughout the entire drama have been, the one thing they want is to like kind of like break him. And they want him often to kneel. Many times, like, they're kind of having like these one-upsmanship moments. And it'll be like, all of your problems can go away, but you got to get on your knees and basically like lower yourself for us. And this is like the thing, like, you know, Pak Seo-hui can do anything, but he can't do that. It's like his meatloaf moment. However, through a series of unfortunate events, the romantic female lead in the drama, played by Kim Da-mi, Yi-so, gets kidnapped, obviously, because it's a K-drama. And the big bad daddy baddie, Dae-hee, knows where she is. And Seo-ri is like, what do I need to do to make this happen? Like, this isn't about me now. Like, this is about, like, I need to get her back. And basically the old man, who's like just so full of bitterness, is like, Neil. And Seo-ri does. And this is a moment that, like, again, I'll get into more when we get into the Itaewon podcast of why I feel like it was so compelling for the character. But for me, it was like, this was a big no for him. Like, morally, just like, he could not do this. However, when the woman who he loves was in danger, he was willing to do everything, including getting on his knees for her. And in doing so, did it lower him and decrease like his status and standard? No. I would argue it elevated it to the level of ultra hot heroes, which is where he sits to this day.
100%.
It's also like a slow-mo scene.
Ugh.
Like, I mean, it's like, do you know what I'm saying? It's like, I almost feel like it's like, when he kneels, it's like thud, thud.
Yeah,
like,
it's
like a very...
And the voiceover, like, because he's talking about how he could never do this, and he's like, suddenly, it is the easiest thing for me to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was like, good fucking Lord, I just watched this today, y'all. So this is like so fresh in my mind, and I'm so head over heels for this drama. I can't wait to talk about it. But I texted Leah, I'm like, you're going to talk about the Neil tonight, right? You're going to talk about the Neil?
I mean, the Neil went immediately, the minute I saw it, it elevated into like the top echelons of hot hero moments for me. And there's like many hot hero moments in K-drama. And this one, it's like the kiss in Princess Bride, where they're like, it eclipsed them all. Like, I feel like it's almost that good.
So for me, it is the Hell Knife Bridge from Tale of the Nine-Tailed. And I'm sorry, I freaking love this scene. So, Tale of the Nine-Tailed is about Lee Yun. He is a Gumio, a nine-tailed fox. I'm really not going to get into the whole plot because the plot doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
How could you get into the whole plot?
Yeah, you can listen to our podcast on Tale of the Nine-Tailed, which went off the rails just like the plot did. But it's still a fantastically entertaining drama, and I, to this day, like, freaking loved it. But basically, Lee Yun is in hell. He's being punished. But he knows that in the real world, on the surface of the planet or whatever, Gia is in danger, the love of his life, and he needs to save her. And so, you know, I guess like the Hell Guardian says, all right, you can get to her faster, but you have to, you know, cross this bridge. And it's like insane. He's wearing like just pants. He's bare chested, bare feet. He's crossing this bridge while knives are literally flying at him horizontally. It is amazing. And the thing is, he's doing this to get back to his love. Like, so, you know, an iconic hero moment for me, obviously, all three of us mentioned scenes that like a hero is doing for his heroine. And this was just iconic for me because, well, it's just crazy.
It's so crazy.
So, I mean, I'm always going to love a scene that's just like fucking nuts. And this was, and he does, he gets back in time and saves her because she's about to fall off a building after being chased by ghost children who never show up again, and we have no idea why. But that's
those kids. Oh my god!
Really with us, be our mommy.
I freaking love that scene. Like, to this day, I can picture him like bleeding, crawling, like eventually he's like crawling. He's like almost dying. Like, cause that's another thing too. I forgot. She said, when you are crossing this bridge, you're not going to be a Gumio. You're not going to have your powers. You're going to be human. So you're going to feel everything as if you're human. So meaning obviously he's going to be in a lot more pain. So he's like crawling hand over hand, being, you know, stabbed by knives to get back to his love. And it's just iconic to me.
It's a great scene. I love it.
So what's a iconic romantic heroine moment?
So the first thing that popped into my head was a funny romantic heroine moment. A lot of these scenes that we're talking about today, I went back and rewatched because like I remember this, but I don't remember it like super well, and I want to look at it. So I went back and rewatched this, and I'm just like cackling while I watched it. It is from My Love from the Star, and it is super funny, but I think it's also romantic. So Jun Ji-hyun's character, Song Yi, was nursing our boomer alien, Do Min Jun, played by the pillow-lipped Kim Soo-hyun, back to health, most likely after possibly a kiss, because what we find out, this is a spoiler now, okay? So this scene is not big spoilery, but this, what I'm going to tell you, is a spoiler if you've not seen this drama. So cover your ears if you don't want to hear it. But the only thing that weakens our 400-year-old alien is if he swaps saliva with a human, if he swaps fluids. Makes him like get the flu. So she's nursing him back to health, and he's, you know, unconscious in bed, and she doesn't want to leave him alone, even though she just lives in the apartment next door. So she's staying on the floor of his bedroom, but it's cold because he's got the balcony window open. So she's staying in a sleeping bag, and it is very appropriately a sort of olive green sleeping bag that when zipped, it's, you know, one of those sleeping bags. It's like the shape of the body, sort of like the mummy shape, and has like the sewn in, you know, the quilting, so that when she is zipped in, she looks like a caterpillar. And he wakes up eventually. The room is cold, so he walks out to the balcony to go and close the sliding door. And when he comes back in, he just sees this zipped up sleeping bag on the floor. And he's like, what are you doing there? And she starts talking to him, and she's just totally zipped in, like face and everything. And we find out that she's stuck in the sleeping bag. And she's like, can you just let me out? And he's like, why are you even here? And she's like, you know, you should be thankful. Like, you were sick and I was taking care of you. And it's this like comedic back and forth. And she's wriggling around on the floor, like looks like a caterpillar inching around, somehow stands up, gets herself stood up, and is like hopping around in the sleeping bag, can't get out of it until finally like she falls and he catches her, and she's like, can you please just unzip me? And so he unzips just the top where her face is. So it's this tiny little hole with her face poking out. And she's like, thank you. And it's just, I mean, it's adorable. I think it's a super romantic moment, but it's also hilarious. And I think it's one of the great things that showcases Jun Ji-hyun's like amazing physical comedic abilities. Like, she's this beautiful, beautiful woman who can make you laugh until you're like peeing in your pants. So I love that scene.
She's so funny and so beautiful. I really do like her so much.
That's a really funny scene. I loved it.
Okay, so I want to talk about something because, you know, I feel like Amy's normally the one who talks about Crash Landing on You. So I am going to throw out a Crash Landing on You moment. And I thought this was a really iconic romantic heroine moment. And it was the first, for all of these, I did what was the first thing that popped in my mind because, you know, that's usually like very telling. So for me, I chose Crash Landing on You when, look, this is a spoiler, but come on, like watch.
Right, have you not seen this yet?
Yeah.
Freaking watch it.
So this is the end. And, you know, we've got the South Korean heiress and the North Korean soldier. He's come down to South Korea to help protect her from the big baddie. That's all good. He saved the day. And now he has to go back to North Korea. And it's like a geopolitical moment. It's very fraught. They're on like the bridge with no man's land, and like Ri Jong-hyuk is being like taken back to North Korea with all the little North Korean duckling soldiers. And Se-ri shows up and freaking like runs with like, you know, like it's a very tense situation, obviously, with like, you know, anytime there's contact made between North and South Korea. So like guns are out. It's very tense. And then she just like bursts into running and is like, you know, the border's not going to hold her back from like that one last like, you know, goodbye kiss embrace. And I feel like it was a really big grand gesture, and it was a heroine's grand gesture of, you know, she was kind of risking her personal safety. And it's just a very swoony, they have a lot of like, this is going to be our last goodbye moment. But in that time, like it really felt like at night. Yeah. As a first time watcher, I wasn't even sure. I was like, is this really like how we're going to end?
I know.
And so I just thought it was a very, very romantic moment of her just running. And he's like, no, because he like doesn't want her to be in danger. And she's like, nothing's going to stop her from like that one last kiss.
I love that scene. And she's like, she doesn't even care that there's like guns drawn. She's just like, how could you leave me like this?
Exactly.
Like she's crying and repeating it over and over again. It's like she has tunnel vision only for Captain Ri, which don't we all?
And she's like escaped the hospital after like almost dying of sepsis.
Yes.
So she still should be in the hospital, and he's literally handcuffed because he's in custody because he's being taken back to North Korea after, you know, illegally entering South Korea. So it is a super tense moment and super romantic.
Yeah, I love it.
Good one.
So I've mentioned this before. I don't care. I'm going to talk about it again. It's from Healer, and it's when Young Shin is basically hunting down Healer's bunker. So at the time, Healer is devastated with grief. He is holed up in his bunker. No one can find him. Everyone's worried about him. And Young Shin is basically like, I can save him. I know I can. I can go there and I can make him better. And she doesn't know exactly where the bunker is. So she has to really use her smarts and her little scrappy journalistic self and find his bunker. And it's so funny too, because his bunker has almost booby traps. Remember you had to spin a license plate or something to get one of the doors to open. It's so funny. So there's all these ways that she had to figure out how to get in, but she would not give up. And she finds him in bed, and he I don't know, hasn't eaten for 3 days. And
oh my God.
He looks terrible.
But his sheets are pristine.
But his white sheets are pristine. But I love it because I just love that moment, because she could have given up. I don't think anyone would have blamed her. She could have just been I'm sorry, I don't know where his bunker is. She refused to give up. And then when he tries to make her leave, she refuses to leave, because she's no, I'm going to be there for you. And that's when their romance really sets fire. And it's just amazing. And I love it. And to this day, Young Shin's one of my favorite heroines. And I think because of that, I always love a good scene where it's balanced. He's done stuff for her, and she's going to pay that back. So
I love that one. And that's actually one that came to mind when I was thinking of this, but I'm I know Megan's going to do Healer for this one. I'm not going to steal it from her. But that is one that I think of often. I just absolutely love that.
I think of her running the dark streets trying to find his bunker all the time. She's frantically trying to find him. And
it's such a good drama. If you've not watched Healer, what are you waiting for? Go.
Yeah, it really
turn us off right now and go watch Healer.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I'll approve.
Okay. So here's a good one. How about a kiss that sets the standard?
All right. Who wants to go first?
You can go first, Leah.
Okay. So I am going to go with Coffee Prince. And I really do like the, I don't care if you're a man or an alien Coffee Prince kiss, but I am going to go with the kiss that I think is just chef's kiss. And that is episode 16. And I'm going to say this is the love kiss. At this point, she comes over and she's got a game plan. She is going to get some hangul. And he's a little bit demure about it all. And she kind of pushes it a bit. And he's basically does one of those, if you come in here, I don't, it's so problematic in real life, but I love these moments of I can't be held responsible for my actions. And it's of course you always should be in real life. But we are in K-drama life where the minute she walks in, those passions are going to come out. And so, he gets her up against the door. And this is I saw Coffee Prince pretty early in my K-drama watching. And at that point, I'd seen mostly very chaste things. And then all of a sudden, these two little horny bunnies, he's got her up against the door, hoiking her legs around his waist. She's got a hand up his shirt. And it was just a very overt, we have feelings in our pants for each other. And tonight we are going to put those parts together and see what magic happens.
Feelings in our pants. I love it.
Okay, so for me, there's any drama with Ji Chang-wook is my favorite kissing. Okay, so let me just say that. But I decided to pick a scene where I felt the kiss really mattered. And so I'm going to talk about Happiness. So this is a spoiler because I'm talking about the end of Happiness. And I got mad because I got spoiled about Happiness. So if you haven't seen Happiness, skip ahead at, I don't know, 30 seconds or so. So in Happiness, there's a zombie outbreak in an apartment building. Okay. And there is Park Se-bom, who she is a police officer. And then there is Yi Hyun, who is a detective. And they're what's fun is they're best friends, but they have this marriage of convenience so they can share this apartment, but then the whole thing gets overrun with zombies. So that kind of sucks. But anyway, so he does I mean, the things he does for her. I mean, she's a fully capable heroine. She's fantastic. I loved her. And yet he's like that type of hero who like lets her shine while also kind of quietly sacrificing himself for her. And he gets like bit or scratched or whatever by a zombie and he is about to turn and he saves her. Like he stays behind in order to get her to safety out of the apartment building, but she will not leave him. So once she's like got her shit together, she like goes back to the apartment. She like storms it with her weapons and everything and it's fantastic. And she finds him and he is in zombie mode. Like he's on the couch, like he knows he's still like somewhat with it and he knows he's like in zombie mode and he's on the couch. He's like cowering under a blanket and he knows he's
so
you know,
cute.
and it's such a good scene because he's like making zombie noises and he doesn't
do it again.
and he doesn't want to like hurt anyone. I know, like, and she comes in and she trusts him so much that he won't hurt her, even though he's like a fucking zombie. And she pets his back and just talks to him. And she's like, you know, I'm here. I told you I'd come back for you. I won't leave you. And he like slowly raises his head and he's like back to being Yi-Hyun. Like he's,
His
you know, he's not a zombie. Yeah, your eyes are normal now. And they kiss. And it's just the level of trust there for me was so incredible. This was really a beautiful friends to lovers romance for me.
I mean, real friends too. They had like the separate beds.
They were totally friends. But I just loved this scene because to me, I was like, you wanted them to kiss like the whole freaking drama. And I did not expect them to kiss right after he like came out of zombie mode. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was just such a fantastic scene, so much trust. And I loved that kiss a lot.
That's an epic scene. I love it. It's a good drama. So I'm going back to one of my original faves, and that's Goblin. And I haven't talked about this in a while, so I'm excited to talk about it. So it's kind of a 2-part kiss. I'm going to talk about 2 kisses, but they're within the same span. If you have not watched...
Cheating!
I know, right? Whatever. You gave, like, Healer the honorable mention before you went into yours, so I get to talk about it.
I know.
Okay, if you have not watched Goblin, this is towards the end of Goblin, so this is a big spoiler. Okay, so tune out for a minute. So this is, you know, we have a flash forward in Goblin after Untak pulls out the sword and he goes off to... you know, whatever the limbo snow planet is that he's on. You know, and he's gone for, what is it, like 10 years? Did he finally make it back after like 10 years?
I think it's 10 years, yeah.
And she has lost all memory of him because like with him disappearing, so does like all memory of him. And so she doesn't remember him. All she knows is that she has this like inherent sadness and depression that she doesn't know where it comes from. You know, she can't shake it. So it is in Quebec. She's there on, I think, business. And he has basically like kind of followed her there, but she doesn't know who he is. And she's kind of like walking around Quebec and it's a falling leaf that like sort of triggers her memory of the maple leaf that she caught when she, you know, went to Quebec the first time with Kim Shin when she was 19 and, you know, didn't know that he was a goblin until then. And long story short is all her memories start rushing back and she realizes, oh my gosh, this is what it is. This is why I'm sad. I miss you so much. And she's running through the streets and finds this shop that has like a candle burning outside because the way to summon him is by blowing out a candle. And she blows out the candle and she's screaming and crying, I miss you. I miss you. Where are you? I miss you. I miss you. And he, of course, appears. And it's the most like emotional reunion, like, you know, a hug and a sweet kiss. And it's super, like, I'm sobbing, you know. But then fast forward a little bit to back in the hotel room in Quebec. And this is after she has to fly back to Korea. Like, he could just use his magic goblin door, but she's like, no, there has to be a record of me in immigration that, like, I came back into the country. Like, we're gonna have to split up right now for, like, 17 hours, and you're gonna have to wait for me. And he meets her back at the airport, back in Seoul, but then uses his magic goblin door to take them back to the hotel in Quebec, into the beautiful hotel room. And that's where we get the sexy kissing. And that's where you're like, oh, this drama that has been so super chaste up until now, because, yes, of course, like, she was a student, and now she's a grown adult, and it is sexy time. And this is before we saw Coffee Prince, so we didn't know how Gong Yu could kiss until we saw this scene, and it was quite delicious. And then, fast forward to when Leah and I finally got to Coffee Prince a few dramas later and saw that Up Against the Door kiss. So this was a good precursor to that. But yeah, I just, you spend most of the drama with zero kissing because they can't, because she's a child and he's 900 years old. And so they make up for it really, really well in episode 15.
Okay, so enough of the kissy stuff. Let's do some action. What is an iconic action scene? Like if I say, tell me something amazing, like an action moment in a drama, what jumps into your mind?
I still Healer from Megan here, because this is, literally, like you talk about, like, I'm just going to put down the first thing that comes to mind. And the first thing that comes to mind for me for this is always going to be the Healer elevator, John McClane, Die Hard rescue.
I just want to say, I was going to put that as the most romantic hero moment. And then I saw that you put it. And I was like, look, it's fine as long as it's mentioned in this podcast. So I don't care.
Well, I won't, you know what? You could talk about the aftermath of it, because I won't go there. So this, Healer's got great action, like, throughout. But this scene, I just, like, the baddies henchman, who, like, I went and rewatched this on YouTube, and, like, the little henchman guy, like, just dressed as, like, the elevator serviceman.
Oh, God.
With his, like, creepy little smile as he's, like, rigging the elevator to plummet when she's in it. Yeah. And so she's in this, this elevator that is about, like, the wire is about to snap. What does Healer do? He, of course, ties himself to a fire hose to save young Shin from the plummeting elevator. And he doesn't have his Healer costume on, because Healer, wears a sort of disguise. He doesn't have his Healer costume on, but still wants to hide that he's Bong Soo from work, which really is just another alter ego because his real name is Jung-hoo. And she doesn't know yet that he's Healer, right? So he wraps himself in the hose and he lowers himself into the elevator, makes her pull her, because she's got a winter hat on, a knit cap on, makes her pull the hat down over her eyes and grabs her. She's got, her arms wrapped around him right when the elevator decides to snap and go plummeting down. And somehow he's rigged the hose to be sort of a pulley when this happens. And so the elevator goes down, they go shooting back up, and she's got her arms wrapped around him and she can't see him. And it's just, him saving her and not wasting a second, just because he doesn't have his Healer costume on. And then Megan, what happens after that?
Well, that's the kiss.
Right.
And that's another iconic kiss, but because he kisses her when her eyes are still covered, and it's just, and her, like, fingers are kind of, like, touching his jaw. It's so good.
It's so good. It's so good. But yeah, the action moment, like, I was just like, oh, that's like 100% Die Hard, and I love it.
Yep.
Because then the Healer theme plays, like, the total, like, synth music, like, that, like, I love, and it totally, like, triggers, like, all my Healer feels, and I was like, I need to watch this drama again.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, mine is one that neither of you have watched yet. And honestly, I think that you both would enjoy it. I'm kind of like middle of the road with it, but I do think it was a cool concept. And that is Memories of the Alhambra. And in it, we see Hyun-bin is kind of a very astute CEO of like a tech gaming company type thing. And he has been kind of like called out to Granada, Spain, because of course, why would you not? But anyway, there's a Korean family that live there. And there is kind of like this elusive gaming genius who is there. And he is meant to meet up with him. And through a series of more unfortunate events, this gamer is missing. However, he gets access to the game, which you play by putting like contact lenses into your eyes. And it's totally amazingly crazy awesome. Like, I wish these games existed. So he's like in this like historic ancient Spanish town. And all of a sudden, like, the world just starts to come alive around him. Like, statues come to life and you're, like, fighting things. And it's just so awesome. And I just really am ready for the future. And I want to be this, like, wild granny that just is playing, like, augmented reality and, like, LARPing in the park or something. Because it's really fun looking. And it just is so cool that, like, as, like, you move through the town, people are just like, and so it becomes like a thing because the game comes out and people are just obsessed with it. You just see like random people and like you can like grab swords out of like thin air. So like you look ridiculous if you're just like on the street. It's like when we play Supernatural. You don't look good if you're not in it, but if you're in it, it looks amazing. And it was just really creative and the visuals were really good. yeah, so I would say that for me, that was just like a really fun action scene that like I still think about because I really want to play games like that.
So what's really funny, you're just making me think of, so, I learned about the Oculus and Supernatural from playing with my son's Oculus and then ended up getting one of my own. And he was playing VR in the basement and I went downstairs to tell him something and he has the Oculus on. And he's like, what's up? And he starts talking to me, but he's still like playing. And I'm like, are you doing something with swords right now? Because I could just tell the emotions he was making. He's like, yep. And I'm like, it's just so funny. Like, cause you're right, Leah. Like, it looks so silly when you're not in it, but I'm sure inside his headset, he's like holding this badass sword and, and playing this game.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it was really funny.
Okay, so this was a hard one for me because I love action dramas, as you all know. So look, I'm going to mention two, but I'll do it quickly, I promise. So the first one is again from Tale of the Nine-Tailed, which had tons of fun action scenes. But there is a scene where Lee Yun and his brother, Lee Rang, and they're kind of like estranged brothers. So that's why this scene's really cool too, is because there's like some tension to it. They're like fighting, but yet they are stuck in this like forest full of zombies, basically. And they have to fight off the zombies, so they have to work together to do it. That's always my favorite. When there's like, they're adversaries, but yet they have to work together in a way.
Yeah.
And so Lee Rang has his like hatchet, I think, and Lee Yun has his like sword. And they turn back to back and they're fighting. I mean, the back-to-back Lee brothers scene.
It's amazing.
Is awesome. Okay, and then I have to mention Lawless Lawyer. So, Ano Ju, I'll mention him later as a favorite villain moment, but okay, so in this drama, he's a total villain, okay? And the hero, Bong Sang-pil, is played by Lee Joon-gi. So Lee Joon-gi is in the hospital and he is recovering from like a stab wound that he got in prison because of course. And Ano Ju shows up and it's like this tense moment because Bong Sang-pil is like, are you going to kill me here in this hospital bed? And then all of a sudden all the lights go off in the hospital and basically like a whole nother like gangster clan is coming to kill Bong Sang-pil and they're going to take out Ano Ju if he's in his way or if he's in their way. And basically, I mean, they hate each other. They want to kill each other. Ano Ju killed Bong Sang-pil's mom, which isn't a spoiler because you learn that right away. So they are like total villains, but yet they fight because they're basically like, no one's killing you unless it's me. So they fight together and they fight like a whole freaking gang
like
of
30
like,
dudes.
Like, oh my God. Like black clad villains. It is amazing. And they're like so beat up. And there's this one scene where like, they're fighting and then they get in an elevator, just the two of them, and go down. And it's like this moment of like silence. And they're both like breathing hard. And then the elevator doors open and they start fighting again. I love that action scene so much. And again, it's that thing where like people have to work together who don't really want to work together. You know what I mean? Adversaries working together is always going to be kind of my thing. So I feel like it's a really easy theme to like see what I like.
Yes. Well, what I love is that, you watched Lawless Lawyer before we did and you told us about this scene. And so when I got there, it's like one of those things like, is this scene going to live up to like what Megan said about it? And it like 100% did, like, and more. Like, it's such a fantastic scene.
It's such a good scene.
Yes.
And it's like Bong Sang-pil and his like little like hospital like scrubs.
Yeah.
And Ano Ju and all his badassness. It's just such a great scene.
And he's wearing toe socks in his shoes.
You know it.
Toe socks that I wouldn't mind wearing after.
Gross.
So sweaty toe socks. Kink. So anyway, an iconic moment. This was one I did, obviously. An iconic moment that makes your Grinch heart melt.
Okay, so I'm going to literally spoil almost the last scene of It's Okay to Not Be Okay. So if you've not seen this amazing drama, this is a big part. Okay. Or if you haven't seen it and you still want to listen, that's fine as well. So to give like just a little teeny tiny bit of backstory is the two main male leads are Sangtae and Gangtae, and they are brothers. And Gangtae, who's played by Kim Soo-hyun, Sangtae, played by Oh Jung-se, he's playing a man who is on the autism spectrum. And Gangtae has been looking out for him, like basically like living his life to protect his brother ever since their mom was murdered. The mom being murdered is not a spoiler. Like, the whole drama, like, hinges on this. And he has had a hard life. Gangtae's had a hard life because he has only existed for his brother. And he put this burden on himself. It wasn't like anybody asked him to do it. And it wasn't like Sangtae was really a burden, but it took Gangtae a really long time to realize that Sangtae could be self-sufficient. And so it is the very end of the drama. Like, Sangtae and Ko Moon-young, who is the heroine, they wrote a book together, and it's this beautiful book about finding my real face. And it's all about, like, you know, learning who you are and the emotion to express, you know, how you feel. And Sangtae is deciding that he's ready to live independently. And he's going to live his life separately from his brother. And Gangtae asks if he'll be okay, if he won't need Gangtae. And Sangtae responds with, Moon Gangtae belongs to Moon Gangtae. And he understands that Gangtae, for however many years since their mother was murdered, has existed solely to take care of him. And he wants them to live autonomously now. And I don't know, like, no matter how stone cold Grinch of a heart you have, like, how can you watch this scene and not just turn into, like, a pile of goo? Because it is the most wonderful, loving moment between brothers, and I will never forget the scene. Lives forever in my mind.
Yeah, super lovely. Look, I went for something that was not quite so lovely, but it still made my Grinch heart melt. So I guess this is a loose definition, or a loose, you know, category. And, you know, we recently put out a snack, or I recently put out a snack about Descendants of the Sun, a drama Megan hasn't watched yet, and that, you know, Amy didn't really care for a great deal. And I was kind of middle of the road. I enjoyed it. It doesn't live in my mind, but there is a moment that has made me melt. And if I watch any clips and I see it, I get like these little butterfly feelings. And so this isn't really a spoiler. I feel like this is, if you've seen anything about Descendants of the Sun, they show this moment because, look, it's just awesome. And the premise of Descendants of the Sun is this idea of, like, what is more noble, to save lives as a medical doctor or to take lives as a soldier, like in the act of, you know, fighting for, you know, your country and your nation. And so there's like the Alpha Squad. They're like the hot shots. And this doctor falls in love with the head of this unit, whose code name is Big Boss, which is also amazing. And so, you know, they try to date in South Korea and it just doesn't work. Like, they both have very intense jobs. She's a doctor. She's always getting called in, or he's getting called out to, like, conflict. So kind of like all falls apart. However, they reunite in the fictional country of Urk. That is right, Urk.
There's a fictional country? Exist. Oh shit, you didn't tell me this.
Yeah, so the fictional country of Urk. And she is there to do kind of like humanitarian aid. And the hotshots get called in for, you know, a lot of reasons. So she's on the tarmac and she is watching the helicopter land with like the hotshots in it, including Ambo Yun, I might say, who is Piccolo, one of the soldiers. And she's got a headscarf on. And as the helicopter goes overhead, her scarf flies off onto the tarmac. And then we see the helicopter land and the A-team gets off. And they are so swaggery and they are so in their military uniforms. And Big Boss, played by Song Joong-ki, look, he really does do a great job in this role, in my opinion. And he is nothing but like tiny Compact King swagger as he walks across the tarmac. And she's in his line of sight and she's looking at him like, oh, damn. And he just fully dead asses her and doesn't even look at her and walks past her. And he's got his aviators on and he just looks like a freaking, like, take me to Urk. And as soon as he passes her, her little scarf's on the tarmac, he bends over and picks it up and then turns around and hands it to her. And it's just this, like, I don't know, it's just so good. And I don't know how to say it. He just walks like he is a god. And every time I see like a clip for it, it makes me freaking swoon and my heart melts.
It is a good scene. I will say that. As much as this drama didn't really get me where I wanted it to, that is a pretty iconic scene.
I have seen that clip. So I haven't seen the drama, but I have seen that clip and it's really damn good. So for me, first of all, I'll say the whole drama of tomorrow. So if you want to know what I'm saying, go listen to our drama podcast, because this freaking dog named Kong definitely made my heart melt in a way I didn't expect. But the one I'm going to mention is actually from Reply 1988. And so it is basically all the parents in the neighborhood want to get a snowman for
I love it.
The little girl. So all the parents in the neighborhood want to get Jinju a snowman for Christmas because that is what she wants. And no one's rich. Well, there is one rich family, but I just mean, they really want to get her something special because she doesn't believe. Oh, I know why. Someone spilled the beans and told her Santa Claus doesn't exist. And so they really want her to kind of believe.
What? Spoiler!
What?
I mean, spoiler for life.
Yeah, spoiled her for life. So, and they really want her to believe in the magic. So they're like, okay, she said she wants a snowman. We got to get her a snowman. And I mean, the whole neighborhood comes together to get this ice. They make it into a snowman. It's a whole thing. And then they wake up in the morning and there is a warm spell and it melts. And I am like, I mean, I could not. I love the scene that the whole neighborhood came together for this little girl. That is going to make my heart melt. And then the funniest part is her brother, Sunwoo, who we all love. He goes and gets her it's like a ice cream thing from the shop on a stick. And he's like, what was that? This is what she means. She just wants ice cream. That's what she calls snowman. And they're all like, oh my gosh. Because they try to, and it's just the whole scene. I just love that they all wanted to do something really special for this little girl. And Jinju was the cutest little thing. And yeah, I love that scene.
That's such a cute scene. I love it.
Yeah.
And now it's time for our favorite segment of the week. And I can't even imagine what Megan's going to talk about for our K-pop rec of the week. But Megan, do you have something for us?
I'm so excited. So Ateez is back. And I just cannot be more excited, guys. This is I've been full into this comeback. I have been voting on the music shows. I've been crazy. Okay. I've been a full crazy person. Yeah. So Guerrilla by Ateez. And Guerrilla, it's like guerrilla warfare. So it's Guerilla, not like gorilla the animal. It's out. It's so intense. It makes me want to take over the world. So I just need to briefly explain that Ateez has a lore. And their lore basically is there is an alternate dimension where all types of art and emotion is forbidden. And what they're trying to do is with their music, with their dancing, with their art, they're trying to break free of that control. And they want everyone to, express themselves and everything. And so their music is just that's what it feels. It feels like you want to just break through. In the song, there's they yell break the wall over and over again, and you're like, yeah, man, I want to run through a wall like the Kool-Aid Man. I feel it. I truly feel like I can take over the world. So anyway, I love it. I'm so excited. They're doing great as of recording. They've had 2 music show wins, which I realize if you're not a K-pop person, that might not mean anything to you, but it's kind of a big deal. So yeah. Anyway, I'm just so excited as an 18-y that they're here and their album is amazing. I've listened to it nonstop, but the song is called Guerrilla by Ateez.
If you enjoy our podcast, you have our patrons to thank, at least in part. Afternoona Delight Patreon allows us to keep creating content for y'all to enjoy. Thank you so much to everyone who is supporting us there. And not to brag, but our Patreon community is pretty awesome. And you can join at a tier that feels good to you. Gain access to fun perks like K-drama posts, monthly Patreon-only bonus podcasts, and even a live K-drama support group on Zoom. Because we know firsthand what it's like to have no one to talk to about those crazy plot twists, amazing characters, and all those feelings. And look, no one should have to walk that walk alone. So learn more by visiting afternoonadelight.com. That's www.afternoonadelight.com. And hey, while you're on the website, you can check out Afternoona Delight podcast merch, find links to book recommendations, bop along to our K-pop recs, glow up your skin with K-merch recs, find all of our social media, and a link to our email so you can send us recommendations or feedback. And hey, while you're at it, why don't you pop over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review? It really helps with our discoverability. Kamsahamnida.
So, we've talked about kisses, we've talked about action. Let's talk about villains. What is, for you, an iconic villain moment in K-drama?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about a drama that neither of you have seen as well. And this is from the drama Strong Woman, Do Bong Soo. And look, I don't think this is really a spoiler. This is kind of just honestly, the first time you kind of encounter the villain. And so the villain in this is a character by the name of Kim Jang-hyun. And he is obsessed with the tale of Bluebeard and his 7 wives. And the actor who plays him, Jong Mi Kwan, got into character apparently by studying Christian Bale in American Psycho. So look, this drama promises itself to be this cutie rom-com about a girl with superpowers and Park Hyung-sik is so cute. And then we just have this fucking psychotic bad guy. And he wears a mask that feels like Jason from Halloween, except worse. But it's silicone.
Wait. Jason is from Friday the 13th. Michael is from Halloween.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Thank you, Ticker Tape Amy. This is important. Yeah, Michael Myers. He wears a mask that feels like Michael Myers from Halloween. So that weird white mask. He's got something like that, except it's got no hair on it. And apparently the hair makes it feel less scary. No hair is worse. And he collects these women to be his brides, and he wants them to get skinny to fit into his tiny wedding dresses.
No one told me that this drama has
and
that.
I'm going to say that in real life, this actor is hot AF, but not the character people. So I've seen some online stuff be oh, he's so cute. I'm yeah. Empirically, he's very cute. I will watch other things and he is cute. But he is not to be cuted out in this. He is a freaking psycho. And then also, I just have a side mention. We've already touched it on it once, but when we're watching Lawless Lawyer, and it is revealed that Ano-ju does, in fact, like to wear toe socks. And a bad guy who wears gray toe socks, I don't know what it does. I don't know why I find him attractive. I just do. And you can listen to the Lawless Lawyer where I get nasty, and I won't do it now.
Thank you. Yeah, speaking of Ano-ju, he's my iconic villain moment, my iconic villain of all time. So Ano-ju is played by Choi Min-soo, just for the record. So in Lawless Lawyer, again, he's the villain, but there's also another big baddie villain, and they kind of work together, and he's a little bit of her dog, but it gets to the point where he breaks away from her. And in order, and that's the big baddie that Bong Sang-pil, the hero, wants to take down, is the woman judge. And he needs Ano-ju to kind of roll over on her. But of course, Ano-ju is going to do it in his way. Okay. And so he's been beat to hell. He's kind of all on his own, but he decides, look, I'm going to save my skin the only way I know how. And he shows up at the courtroom. And again, he's wearing a sling, but he still has his suit on. He's got his gold chain. He's got his shoes. He's got a hair slicked back. And the courtroom doors, they say, we have a witness that we wanted to bring in. And the doors open in slow-mo, and Ano-ju struts in. And I swear to God, I screamed while I was watching it. Oh, I loved it so much. It's just an iconic moment because that is the tide's turning on the whole drama when that happens. Shit's about to hit the fan, and it does. Like I said, the revenge plot of Lawless Lawyer is very, very cool.
Yeah, it is.
This is a really good scene. I love that one. So, okay. I'm gonna spoil a drama here because I need to talk about this villain. So please close your listening holes if you have not seen Flower of Evil, because this is definitely a drama you don't want spoiled for you because there's so many twists in it. So it is by and large one of my favorite dramas. So please, if you even think you have this tiny inkling that you might watch it, don't listen to what I'm going to say because it's a huge spoiler. But if you have seen it, you're going to know what I'm talking about here. Okay. It takes us a long time in Flower of Evil to know who the real villain is. But when we finally meet him, he is something to behold. And I'm talking about Kim Ji-hoon as the real Baek Hee-sung. And aside from his creepy Oma when he comes out of his years-long coma, what I remember and love about this villain is that when he is ready to get down to evil business, his tell is that he gets like crazy eyes, and his hair, because his hair is overgrown because he's been in a coma for however many years, and he decided not to get a haircut when he came out of his coma. He just wanted to get back to killing. So whenever he's ready to get down and dirty, he gets the crazy eyes, and then he pulls his hair into a ponytail. And again, this is like another very good-looking man playing a very creepy dude, and doing it so well. And I love it. Like, he gets his ponytail, and then we just know some shit is about to go down when he pulls the hair back, and
people gonna get killed.
He's gonna get to killing.
Like, and mommy and daddy are gonna cover it up because he said, "Oh my god,
it's so great." Wakes up and he's just like, "Oh ma," so funny.
I mean, seriously, if I did just spoil the drama for you, like, I'm sorry, you were warned. But like, there are so many amazing twists in this drama, and he is truly like a creepy, but also at times funny because of the extent of his creepiness villain.
And he's also very cute.
I said that, like, he's a very good looking man.
Yeah.
But
in real life.
In real life, yes.
Okay. So what's an iconic moment that just made you cry your soul out?
This scene. Oh boy. I've talked about the scene before, but probably the scene where I cried the hardest out of any K-drama, I think. So this is what I call the reset scene in I Am Not a Robot. I actually wouldn't say that this is a huge spoiler for the whole drama, but if you don't want to be spoiled at all, obviously I'm going to fully spoil this scene. But again, I don't know if it would necessarily spoil a whole lot for you. So quick, I Am Not a Robot. Kim Min-kyu is a completely isolated millionaire with a allergy to humans, and he is given a robot to test, and the scientists end up having a woman pretend to be a robot because their actual robot it still needs to be fixed. So they're like, just pretend to be this robot for like just a little bit. But at first it's just 2 hours, but then it turns into like days. And so this is a very advanced robot. Obviously she looks very human, because she is human, but even the robot itself looks human. And Kim Min-kyu is so isolated, and he's really never had any friends. His parents died early, and he basically befriends this robot. And the robot has what's called friend mode, which is honestly a genius part of the storytelling of this drama, because that's how they're able to like form a friendship, even though she's a robot. It's really kind of crazy. Again, you have to trust us. This drama is amazing, but it's driving him crazy because he's like falling in love with her, but he's like, it's a robot. Like, what's wrong with me? Like, I'm falling in love with a robot. Like, clearly I need help. And so it's driving him so crazy that he knows he has to do something. And that is, he's basically like, he says to them, like, I don't want this anymore. And so they decide to, take pity on him, and they're like, okay, you can reset her. So obviously the Gia is the heroine, and she has this like fake button on her neck. And it's so hard because at the time she's falling for him as well. Like, she's falling in love with him. He's falling in love with her, but she can't tell him the truth, because it could kill him, because his allergy kind of acts up, especially when there's been like betrayal. So she can't tell him, and he basically has to erase the memory of this is what he thinks. He thinks he's erasing the memory of really the only friend he's had. I mean, he has not had a friend since he was like a child, and that friend betrayed him. And he's just alone. He's alone and lonely. And he, again, has to essentially like just erase his only friend. And he's crying so hard. And you at this point, you love Kim Min-kyu in this drama. I mean, you feel for him. Yoo Sung-ho plays him, and it's incredible. And he's reaching behind her to press the button. And she is dying inside, but she can't react because she's supposed to be a robot. So she can't be like crying. She can't be emoting, but they're kind of like hugging as he's like pressing the button on her neck. And you do see that she is like, she's breaking inside. And it's just everything leading up to that moment. Like you felt that connection between them. And this is ending it. I mean, it's like an end, at least as far as Kim and Q thinks. And he's devastated. And he basically says 3, 2, 1, and he presses the button. And I know the moment he presses the button, you can tell he like regrets it. It is horrible. It's horrible because you want them to be happy and you know that they kind of could be if things were obviously different. And it's just, I cried so hard. My face was swollen for hours. I just love that scene. I just call it the reset scene from I'm Not a Robot because to me it's absolutely iconic.
Yeah.
I was scrolling through the script today just to see what you guys put because I had filled it out last night before you guys did. And so I was scrolling through and I saw that and I immediately, like, I felt like somebody punched me in the gut. And all Megan wrote was, I am not a robot, reset.
That's all I wrote.
Like, that's all she wrote. And I just felt like I should have burst into tears.
I was like, this is killing me. Anyway, it's so fantastic. Yes. If you haven't seen that drama, what are you doing?
And I'm going to talk about one that I've talked about before, to the extent where people just know that I like to torture myself. So spoilers again, if you haven't watched Goblin, I'm going to the end of Goblin again, but even further into the end than I did before. So will it ever be anything other than Kim Shin saying goodbye to Untak in the tea house when she dies in Goblin? Gong Yu acting in this scene is like, I have a visceral reaction to this. My body reacts without my consent. And I am a fucking mess. But it doesn't keep me from watching this scene over and over again, which I have. I also do want to give an honorable mention to the end of Uncontrollably Fond. I won't even say what it is. If you know, you know. For weeks after that drama, I was bereft as if I'd actually lost somebody that I knew and loved. But I will never rewatch that pain again. Because that drama ends with pain, whereas Goblin ends with hope.
Okay. I'm going to recommend this drama to both of you. And you're going to think I'm stupid when I tell you this sad part because it's very sad. So this is a spoiler. Plug your ears if you have not watched Fated to Love You or want to know nothing about it. So,
except Megan and I can't. So we have to listen.
So Fated to Love You is the story of a quirky as fuck chaebol, Lee Gun, who's played by Jong Hyuk, and the timid little office mouse of Kim Mi Young, played by Jong Ne Ra. And this is an over-the-top drama that honestly does go a few episodes too long. Like, it would have been in my top if it was like 16, but it went a little too long. But honestly, I don't care because I love it. And I've seen it described as a rom-com in the first half and a melodrama in the back 9. And look, I don't disagree. So Lee Gun is not this like rich jerk, but he's this super weird hero. And he's got a very unsettling laugh that he uses to his advantage. And everyone around him is constantly like, is he a buffoon? But then he's like the smartest guy in the room. So he's like very funny and super weird. And he's also very endearing. And he's in big love with this ballerina who he wants to propose to. They've been together for quite some time. He is ready to propose to her. And Mi Young, who works in the office and is known as like the post-it girl, basically somebody that you can like assign a task to and then forget about, she's sick of being a wallflower and she decides to let loose a little. So through a series of hijinks and drugs and a series of unfortunate or fortunate events, they end up having a one-night stand that neither of them intends to, not even knowing who each other are. Like, they both think they're someone else. And it works. And when they come to, they're not enemies about it, but like, that wasn't intended. They weren't in meaning to sleep with the other. And dun dun dun, because they've like, bunked uglies, they're going to now be parents. So this sets up the rom-com. Like, these two very different people end up having this very bizarre one-night stand, and they're going to have a baby. And it is really cute because like they decide to she nicknames the baby Dog Poopy because like that was her nickname when she was going to be a baby, like when she was going to be born. And it was bad luck to like name the baby. So they call it Dog Poopy. And apparently it's like adorable to call baby dog poopy. So there's a lot with dog poopy. Like there's birth classes. They really start to fall in love, and it's all hinging on dog poopy. So my tears come because an accident occurs. Mi Young has an accident, and Lee Gun is forced at the hospital to choose between dog poopy or Mi Young.
Oh God.
Mi Young. And when she wakes up realizing the baby is gone, let me just say, I fucking howled.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
a
sure.
wounded
Yes.
dog.
Oh my gosh.
So this is a spoiler. The lead up to it is great. And the resolution, while it drags out, is very solid. But I did not expect the accidental baby, aka the fetus, to peace out.
Yeah.
And while it helps the story and ultimately works, like, my God.
Right. Like, holy hell.
Yeah, it's very emotional.
Yeah.
Like, she is devastated and plays it well, and he is devastated as well.
Yeah, I would have dehydrated myself.
Yeah, it's like, I just wasn't thinking they were going to kill the baby, and then the dog poopy just freaking bites it, and you're just like, what? Anyway, I still really like it, and I like to be surprised, but that hurt. Okay, so we have the sads, but what's a moment that made you wet your pants? In a happy way.
Or a thirsty way.
I don't even remember the context of this thing happening, and it doesn't matter. Just that it happened. So it's hospital playlist where, for whatever reason, my favorite liver doctor, Lee Ik-jun, played by Jo Jung-suk, just starts crab walking. Like I think they're in the basement where the band usually practices, right? Because it's at the house where they do the band practice, and he just starts walking around the room like a crab. And I found the scene on YouTube because I was like, I remember this, but like, why did it happen? And I couldn't find enough of it to find out why he was doing it. But there's so much that he does that it doesn't matter anyway. Like, he is the goofiest. He's like the goofiest, sexiest character. And I love him in this drama. And the crab walk just makes me cackle. And I mean, like, this guy starts out the drama, like season 1, episode 1, stuck in a Darth Vader helmet and has to perform surgery wearing a Darth Vader helmet. So that just sort of like, sets the tone for what this character is going to be like. Yeah, he just crab walks. And I don't know why I love it, but I do.
Okay, I'll go next. Reply 1988 for me, and this is Boner Alley. I talked about Boner Alley before. Megan's talked about we've all talked about Boner Alley.
We love Boner Alley.
And it was just so funny because I was kind of just shocked it was happening. So essentially what it is two of the characters, I won't get into too many details because I don't want to spoil Reply 1988 much at all. Two of the characters towards the beginning, like it's in the 3rd episode, they were kind of like out on like a student excursion, and there's some hijinks, and they end up getting busted by teachers, and all the students are running, and two of them end up in this very tiny alley. There is not much room. One's a boy, one's a girl. They've known each other their whole lives. And as they stand pressed pelvis to pelvis in this tiny alley, the guy starts to pop a boner. And you can only tell by his facial expression and the fact he is hating life so much.
The
and
acting of him in that moment that he has a boner without any words is amazing.
Yeah. And he's just looking to the sky like, God damn. And it's amazing. And then I want to give a special shout out to Yumi Cells 2, which neither of you are watching, but the conceit you're aware of, it's kind of like that movie Inside Out, where, it's the emotional inner lives are played by cartoons that are cells. And they every nuance of your personality has a cell. And so in Yumi's village, there's an area that's all about fan clubs. And Horny Cell, who is an amazing cell, who just runs around in like little underwear and has dirty thoughts. Horny Cell is the captain of the Gongyu Club.
I love it.
And when that popped up, I laughed so hard.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about Mr. Queen. I think Mr. Queen is one of the funniest dramas, especially in like the earlier episodes. Towards the later, it gets obviously a little bit more dramatic, but it is so funny, especially in the earlier scenes. So it is a time travel body swap drama. So basically a chef named Jang Bung-wan he falls or gets pushed off his balcony, falls into the pool of his apartment complex, and all of a sudden he's like thrust back into Joseon era, and he's in a woman's body. So obviously, like, that whole stuff is like just him figuring out he's got a different body is so freaking hysterical. But the best part is he's trying to like go back And he's like, I need water. I need a body of water. And so there's this like big lake in the like royal grounds. And he's so excited. He's got his skirts on. And of course, this is a woman, but I'm saying you know what I mean. Anyway, it's confusing. So he's like marching down there with all his like ladies in waiting and his skirts. And he's just like, yay, a lake. And he like leaps. And there's like a crescendo of sound. And all of a sudden he falls down and just flat on his face because the whole lake has been drained. And it's like amazing because he's just like got mud. He's just lying there like, oh my God. I thought I was going to, there's mud all over him and he's supposed to be like, a proper lady. And it's just so, so funny. It's so funny.
But I do like our Mr. Queen podcast. It is one of my faves.
Yeah.
Because we were a house divided in that too.
But I loved a lot about it. And that the humor of Mr. Queen to me is some of the best humor in a K-drama I've seen. It's fantastic. So
let's wrap this up with something fun.
Let's wrap it up. Just one iconic moment that lives in your head rent-free.
I won't even spoil the scene. I'm just going to say it is crash landing on you, and it is Captain Rhea on the motorcycle.
In slow-mo.
In slow-mo. Rent-free. It's a GIF in my mind over and over again.
As it should be. So I am an a-hole, and I picked 2. Because I guess I'm an asshole, but it's my time, my drama. So the first one is Big Drone Energy from When the Camellia Blooms. If you know, you know. I just think, obviously I love it. I've named one of our Patreon categories like after it. We all have gotten behind this scene.
Yes.
And then the other one is from Mr. Sunshine, and it is when Gu Dongmei reaches out and touches Go Aishin's skirt.
Absolutely.
And the
Iconic.
silk is going through his longing, murdery, obsessed fingers.
Oh, it's so great. That was another scene where you described it to me and I was like, okay, I mean, it did sound like a really awesome, but then, and I was wondering if like the impact would be lessened when I watched it, and it was not. That scene still felt just as amazing when I watched it.
Yeah, it's just iconic.
So mine basically revolve around An Bo-hyun. So for those who've seen Itaewon Class, we already mentioned it. He's a baddie in the beginning, and he's a baddie with really badly dyed orange hair.
Oh, so bad.
It's a little bit of a spoiler. Not really though, because you kind of learn this out. But anyway, he goes to prison. And for a while you think he's like, the drama like doesn't talk about him. So you're not really sure like if he's going to come back or not, or if he's just like gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden they like there's like this scene where they show like a prison, and it's like a slow zoom up from like a guy's feet up his legs, and he's doing push-ups, and all of a sudden it reaches his face, and it's fucking An Bo-hyun, sweaty, muscled, with black dripping hair, and he looks ready for revenge. And I remember screaming, because it's not that I wanted him to win, but I wanted a good show, and a good show means the baddie coming back.
He is a bad baddie, too.
It's just an iconic scene for me, honestly.
And he was really hot.
Yeah, I mean, that scene where, because he finally got rid of, like, the bad orange hair, and he's got, like, the dripping black hair, and I was like, yes, An Bo-hyun.
And I just love his crazy eyes.
Yeah.
Like, he's got such amazing eyes.
And he's got the crazy laugh, too, in this one.
Ooh, he does.
Like, his laugh is really good.
I fucking love him. Just everything he does is as iconic to me. I mean, like, two other iconic scenes that, like, I thought of, they involve him. I just feel like the camera loves to do some sort of like slow-mo thing on him. Like in Military Prosecutor Doberman, there's this scene where he like puts on his like prosecutor robe, and it like flaps out in the, like behind him, and he throws open the courtroom doors, and I'm like, yeah! It's just everything with him.
That was a fun list of things to talk about.
That was really fun. I had a really fun time.
And I love, like Leah said, this just came out like organically. Like we were just having a discussion in Slack, and we were like, we should talk about this on Wednesday. Like, why are we not talking about this in a pod? And so we are.
Well, it's fun to do. And it's fun to talk about stuff you love.
So you're welcome, everyone.
And yeah, I think that what we are going to be doing in the next like week or two is kind of getting together. Even though it's the beginning of August, we have to look ahead and kind of coming up with what our fall watch schedule is going to look like. Because we have, we've got some great content planned through September, and then we have to really figure out like what we want to do next. And that's always fun when we get to plan what fun dramas are on the deck.
Yeah. And so, let us know what you want us to watch, basically.
But also let us know your favorite iconic moments if we missed them.
I'm sure that everyone has like their own special one. So I think we'll put this on the Instagram when it comes out and let you have a chance to get off your chest and unburden yourself. I think that's going to be it for us for this week. And, we've got the last few, for us, just the last week left of summer before we get back into the school grind here. So by the time I'm podding again, we're going to be back at school.
That's crazy.
Oh my gosh. Well, until then, I guess we're just going to say,
Annyeong!
Kamsahamnida. Thank you for listening to Afternoona Delight. Where can you find us outside the pod? Head on over to afternoonadelight.com. That's AFTERNOONADELIGHT.com. You'll find links to all our social media, our book recs, K-pop and K-skincare recs, and if you want even more Afternoona Delight, because really who doesn't, you can join our Patreon, where you can choose the patron level that's right for you. Join in daily K-drama conversations, listen to bonus podcast episodes just for patrons, and participate in our monthly live K-drama support group via Zoom. We can't wait for you to be a part of the community. Until next time, annyeong!